All right. Our next item on the agenda is our 6.7, consideration of update on Drought Water Shortage Task Force and Drought Resilience Plan Advisory Committee membership and activities. And we have Community Development Director Turner and Water Resources Director Upadhyay here.
Thank you. Maria Turner, Community Development Director and Water Resources Director Upadhyay. On February 4th, the board considered a number of actions regarding SB 552, which is the requirement to develop a drought and low water resiliency plan. Among those actions taken by the board were to reorganize the existing drought task force to be the drought and low water task force, establish an ad hoc committee to work on that drought and low water resiliency plan, and transfer lead agency from water resources to community development. They also directed staff to go ahead and flesh out or identify potential members for this ad hoc committee, and to return today to give you an update. So that's why we're here. You'll see on the screen is the task force, though I think there's an error. It was the task force before the Board of Supervisors assigned Supervisor Owen in place of Supervisor Sabatier on this task force. Go back, please. One thing to note is this task force is a standing task force. It was here before we needed to start writing the drought resiliency plan, and it'll still be in existence and operating after this drought resiliency plan is crafted. SB 552, the project of drafting this drought resiliency plan, or we call it the DRIP, it is about a year, and I'll show you that timeline in just a moment. But for that process, we do have an internal working group, or that ad hoc committee, with potential members compiled to present to you today. Next slide, please. Here is a list of the memberships. We've got Community Development, Watershed Protection District, Environmental Health, Public Works, Office of Emergency Services, our Chief Climate Resiliency Officer, all of our tribes, as well as CAL FIRE, a couple water companies, the Farm Bureau, Seigler Springs Community Redevelopment Association, and Rural Community Assistance Corporation, and the Lake County Land Trust. We derived these potential members by using the recommendations of the task force in last May's meeting, as well as ongoing discussions that we are having with the contractor, who they might be here today, I'm not sure. Christy and Bridget are the Stantec staff that are supporting the draft of the drought resiliency plan. The drought resiliency plan is focused on state small water systems as well as domestic wells. And so after discussions with special districts, we decided that while they do have an important role on the task force, there's not really a direct need for them to serve on the advisory committee, and that's why you don't see them on this list right now. Stantec. It's Bridget or Christy. Oh, are they here? Awesome. And we do have the Stantec representatives here if you have more detailed questions, because I'm just telling you what I know, and then I'm done. Next slide, please. This is our schedule of activities for the SB 552 DRIP, Drought Resiliency Plan. On the top, you'll see above that timeline, you'll see the task force meetings. So we have one currently scheduled for April 23rd. And then that kind of launches the work of the advisory committee. Our first meeting for a kickoff will be in May. They will meet 4 times at kind of like landmark points of the process of drafting. The Stantec staff will be responsible for doing most of the drafting, and they have been the ones identified by the state to offer technical assistance throughout the state for drought resiliency plans. So we're very confident in their ability to get this done. During that 4th meeting, the advisory committee is going over the draft plan, and then it returns, or it goes up back to the task force for the task force review prior to presentation of the board. Again, this period is, it could be up to a year, but we're not sure that it'll take that long. We're going to go as quickly as possible. And then the last attachment was just an overview again of SB 552 in your packet, just to explain, to refresh you on what the Drought Resiliency Plan is for. And I'll pass it over to Pawan if he has anything to add.
Yeah, so just to add a little bit to what Mariah already said, like, so these are for the small water systems, like, which is not already covered by other agencies. So if it is covered by like a water system, they should have their own drought resilience plan. So these are the people who are left out or not part of any other drought resilience plan.
All right. Any questions from the board? Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah, I guess I changed my mind on certain things that we've talked about in the past. There are some invited folks to the proposed advisory committee that I'm not fully understanding. I guess I need to better understand what our outcome is of what we're looking to produce. CAL FIRE and not fire districts. CAL FIRE is very specific about what they do. Fire districts are definitely more engaged within our communities in a different way. Golden State Water and Cal Water, two private water agencies and no other water agencies. Siegler Springs Community, why specifically that one? I would prefer maybe seeing somebody like the Chamber of Commerce to represent our businesses and the impact on businesses as a whole, rather than a specific area. And I'm not certain if this is a county-wide, everybody is going to be impacted, tribes, city, and county. I don't think so, because county plans don't impact tribes. But are we looking at creating a county-wide plan that will impact everybody and that everyone agrees to? Just because I'm seeing all of the tribes listed, but there's differences in the tribes and what they can bring to the table as well. Some have EPA, some don't have EPA, so some will have the ability to bring some of that knowledge. Some of them have land, some of them don't. I don't know what the plan is meant to do. Is it meant to say during a drought, this is the restrictions we're looking at everybody doing, so we can all sacrifice equally together? Or what? I'm kind of confused by the list, and I'll just be blunt. Community development has way too much on its plate, and I would much prefer not seeing community development at this point. Again, I've evolved and changed my mind, and I apologize, but we have so many important projects in the hands of community development that I want to make sure those projects are successful, and adding this on top with such a, what appears to be a semi-hasty timeline has me worried. Those are my comments.
I would like to defer to Christy or Bridget to just give us a brief overview of what a drought resiliency plan actually covers, if you're available there. Great.
Hello, Board of Supervisors. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak today. The Drought Resiliency Plan will cover state smalls and domestic wells within the county's jurisdiction. And so while it's true that tribes may or may not be beholden to the plan and what is included in the plan, we felt that they were an important part of the process, and so we wanted to include them as members of the advisory committee. And I will note that though they're invited, they do not have to participate, and that's part of the beauty of the advisory committee being ad hoc. It enables them to participate if they would like and to the extent that they are able. And I apologize, I was joining as a panelist, and so I may have missed Supervisor Sabatier. If you had other parts of the question that I did not answer, I'm happy to elaborate further.
And I could just be brief. CAL FIRE, instead of our community fire districts, Golden State Water and Cal Water, which are private water where there's no other water that's represented, neither is special districts for Lake County. And then a Siegler Springs community redevelopment versus something more county-wide, such as maybe the Chamber of Commerce. And maybe I'm not understanding what that association is, but it just just, it brought questions to mind when I saw the list.
Thank you, Supervisor Sabatier. We are happy to include County Fire in addition to CAL FIRE or in lieu of CAL FIRE, and so appreciate your comments there. We also can include the Chamber of Commerce as opposed to or in addition to Ziegler Springs. And then the reason we included the private Cal Water and Cal Water system is because they've been an important organization in consolidating state smalls and domestic well users throughout the county, or including them in broader regionalization efforts. And so we wanted to include them. But again, we defer to your preferences there.
And I appreciate that comment. I'm actually concerned about their consolidation of other smaller entities into what is a very expensive access to water for those who eventually end up under Cal Water in Golden State. So while I appreciate their capabilities and their willingness, it's also a future concern of what will it cost to get water from those agencies in the future. So I don't know what to do with it. I just needed to bring up my concerns.
Any other questions?
Well, I think special districts should be added. Is there a reason why they're not?
Yes, because special districts does not deal with state smalls, water districts and, or water systems and domestic wells.
Okay.
But Robin and I did discuss it, and she's comfortable remaining on the task force because she'll get, special districts will have review authority and input at that time.
And so the drought task force that's listed on the first page with her name, and then next is what's proposed. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Correct. Yeah, the task force is that standing task force that will review this plan before it comes to the board. The ad hoc committee is meeting only for that specific purpose to sort of provide input during the drafting of the plan.
Okay. And so, there's other water services as well, like Nice, Upper Lake, or Cloud, or is there others in
I don't think
Yeah.
so.
I mean, is that what you're looking at, is having more, or?
At least a variety of perspectives and needs and issues.
Okay. All right. I don't know if that's possible, but I just added those because those are the ones I know that are also water providers. But, so any other questions on that? I'll open it up to the public for anyone that would like to comment on this. Betsy, if you can unmute and state your name for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Betsy Kahn, Upper Lake. I have 3 comments, and they sort of address a question I have. In the first place, this drives me crazy that you guys constantly refer to things as ad hoc and standing. They don't obey the Brown Act. They don't publish minutes and agendas. They're not open to the public. And in fact, there's not a representative of the public in any of the lists of suggested participants. You have a clean water program. You have people in the watershed support system, people in the environmental support system. They need to be included. But think about this. You're dealing with small domestic well systems, 15 points of delivery, I think, or less, if I'm not mistaken. Those are not regulated by these municipal water companies, public water systems, or the corporate water systems. They don't. If you have a small water system, it's not a recipient of those purveyors. Not that you shouldn't address the whole conflict over what different purveyor qualities are. You have public water systems, corporate systems, and municipal, mutual stockholder based. And there's an awful lot of conflict. We constantly hear about this. Some of this is going on in the city of Clear Lake right now, where they're trying to figure out how to get all 3 different types of water purveyors to help the city develop. The last thing I want to mention is you need to consider what your municipal code or zoning ordinance changes would be, including your Board of Supervisors policies for, who is a participant, what is a standing committee, what is an ad hoc committee, you know, but please, please, this happens all the time. And the public deserves to have clarity on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other on Zoom? All right, so I'll close that and bring it back to the board. I didn't know if there's no action to be taken on this. This is just an update. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you. We're good.
Any other comments from the board or questions? All right. Thank you for, go ahead, Supervisor.
I'll just make one last comment. It makes sense to me that this be inclusive entirely in the county, because drought issues are not jurisdictional issues. They don't stop at imaginary lines. Water tables expand further than those lines. And so I think the way that it is identified with all of the tribes in the county is good if that's the perspective we have, but it would need to include the cities as well, because I think we all need to be on the same page on how to deal with drought and not have one jurisdiction doing something that does not help the other one as we're trying to deal with drought. And so that would be my perspective, because I think we need to all play together with an agreed upon plan when we're dealing with emergency situations such as drought.
All right. Anything else to add? And I don't know if we could even make any action on that or anything, but I think you've heard in.
Really looking forward to getting going on this.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.